Today, we'll embark on a journey to revisit the first appearances of every character in One Piece, from pirates and marines to revolutionaries and even celestial dragons. So let's just get right into it with the very first character in the series, which is none other than the Pirate King himself, Gol D. Roger. Roger is first seen in the introduction of the series as we see his execution in Episode 1, setting the world ablaze with the dream of finding the One Piece. Nami, the clever and skilled thief, is the next character we see as she is sneaking onto the tyrannical pirate captain Alvida's ship. We are then introduced to Alvida, who is attacking a cruise ship, and her chore boy, Koby. In the very first episode, Luffy also enters the scene in grand fashion, popping out of a barrel. Right before the end of the episode, we also meet Zoro, who is tied up and imprisoned by the Marines, and we know right away he's not someone to be trifled with. Moving into Episode 2, we meet Helmeppo, the spoiled son of the Marine Captain Morgan, also known as Axe Hand Morgan, who is also introduced in Episode 2 as he rules over Shell's town with an iron fist. We also meet Rika, a brave young girl who provides food for Zoro, and Quina, who makes her debut, Zoro's childhood rival and a key figure in his past. Episode 4 is where we encounter one of the most pivotal figures in Luffy's life, red-haired Shanks. Alongside his charismatic crew, Ben Beckman, Lucky Roo, Usopp, Lime Juice, and more, we witness the bond that inspires Luffy's journey. Makino, the gentle bar owner who cares for Luffy, and Whoop Slap, the strict village mayor, both debut in Episode 4 as well. The first villain in the series also makes his grand entrance, the mountain bandit Higuma, as well as the fearsome Sea King known as the Lord of the Coast, who both had a big impact in the series as Shanks lost his arm while saving Luffy. Buggy the Clown, one of the most amusing yet dangerous pirates Luffy encounters early on, also makes his introduction at the end of Episode 4. In Episode 6, we meet Buggy's loyal underling, Moji, and his lion companion, Richie. But perhaps the most heart-wrenching character from this episode is Choo Choo, the loyal dog who guards his master's pet shop, a true symbol of perseverance. Kabaji, Buggy's acrobatic swordsman, makes his debut in Episode 7, as his quirky fighting style adds to Buggy's eccentric crew. A lot of people might not have known that in Episode 8 we are introduced to Silver's Rayleigh, the right-hand man of the King of the Pirates, Gol D. Roger. In the same episode, right at the end, we also meet Usopp, the local village liar, who is a very skilled sniper. Episode 9 introduces Kaya, a very close friend of Usopp, and a key figure in his early story. But not all is peaceful in Syrup Village, as we meet Captain Kuro, who acted as Kaya's servant and caretaker, and his hypnotic first mate, Django. Episode 16 marks the first appearance of Panda Man, the elusive character who appears in the background of various scenes throughout the series, becoming an Easter egg that fans love to spot. Episode 17 is particularly emotional for Usopp, as it introduces Banchina, Usopp's mother, through a flashback showing the hardship and love that drives him. And of course, this episode also officially introduces the Going Merry, the Straw Hats' first ship, which would carry them through many adventures. Gaimon, the eccentric treasure guardian who's been stuck in a chest for years, makes his debut on Episode 18. His quirky personality and unique design make him an unforgettable character. Episode 19 introduces Kushiro, Zoro's former teacher, while Episodes 19 and 20 bring in Johnny and Yosaku, two bounty hunters and old friends of Zoro who sails with the crew for a while. In Episode 20, we are introduced to Zeph, the harsh yet kind-hearted head chef, and of course, Sanji, the future Straw Hat chef with a heart of gold and a powerful kick. Gin, the fierce and loyal right-hand man to Don Krieg, makes his first appearance in Episode 21. Don Krieg himself, the powerful yet cowardly pirate leader, shows up soon after. But it's Episode 23 that truly stands out, as it marks the grand entrance of Dracule Mihawk, the world's greatest swordsman. His duel with Zoro leaves a lasting impact and sets Zoro on a path to surpass him. Episode 31 brings the fearsome Arlong pirates, including Arlong, the ruthless fishman pirate captain, Chu, the skilled marksman, Karubi, the martial artist, Hatchin, the lovable yet dangerous octopus swordsman, and their giant sea cow, Momu. The emotional depth of the Arlong Park arc comes from the introduction of Nami's adoptive sister, Nojiko, who also makes her debut in Episode 31, who then introduced us to Nami and Nojiko's brave mother, Belmere, whose tragic past is revealed in Episode 32. We also meet Genzo, the sheriff of Kokoyashi Village, who plays a key role in Nami's backstory. Reaching Logtown, Episode 48 introduces us to a pivotal figure in the series, Captain Smoker, who becomes one of Luffy's main marine antagonists. In Episode 52, we meet Tashigi, a marine swordswoman reminiscent of Quina. And no One Piece fan can forget the epic entrance of Luffy's father, Monkey D. Dragon, in episode 52, who saves Luffy from being captured, and to this day, Dragon's character is still shrouded in mystery. As the Straw Hats enter the Grand Line, episode 62 marks the arrival of Laboon, the giant whale with a tragic backstory. We also meet Crocus, the lighthouse keeper and former ship doctor of the Roger Pirates, who has been caring for Laboon all these years. And then there's Vivi, who initially appears under the alias Miss Wednesday, a member of Baroque Works, but her true identity as the Princess of Alabasta becomes crucial to the storyline. Vivi's loyal guardian Igaram makes his debut in episode 64. His comical appearance and flute-based fighting style may seem strange, but his dedication to Princess Vivi is unquestionable. In episode 65, we meet two more members of Baroque Works. Jem, also known as Mr. Five, with his explosive powers, and Makita, known as Miss Valentine, with her ability to manipulate weight. We also meet Karoo, Vivi's loyal and goofy duck mount who sticks by her through thick and thin. Nico Robin, aka Miss All Sunday, Crocodile's right-hand woman, makes her iconic first appearance in episode 67. From the beginning, her calm demeanor and mysterious powers hint at a more complex story. Episode 68 introduces the legendary marine hero Monkey D. Garp, Luffy's grandfather. Though his connection to Luffy isn't revealed until later, Garp's strength and comedic personality shine through. His right-hand man Bogard also appears in this episode, though he's more of a silent presence. Episode 70 brings Galdino, also known as Mr. 3, into the fold. His wax-based powers are unique, and his schemes put the Straw Hats in some tight spots. Next, we sail into the island of Little Garden in episode 71, where we meet Brogy and Dory, two giant warriors locked in an eternal duel. Episode 76 officially introduces the greatest villain of the Alabasta arc, Crocodile, the leader of Baroque Works and one of the 7 warlords of the sea. His ruthless ambition to overthrow Alabasta's monarchy makes him a formidable foe for the Straw Hats. Bon Clay, also known as Mr. 2, is introduced in episode 78. His flamboyant personality and ability to mimic faces using his devil fruit powers make him stand out. Moving forward to episode 79, we meet Wapol, the gluttonous former king of Drum Island. His selfishness and cruel treatment of his citizens make him one of the more detestable villains in the series. But in contrast to Wapol, we meet Dalton in episode 80. The former royal guard turned revolutionary leader of Drum Island stands as a figure of honor and integrity, dedicated to protecting his people. Episode 81 brings us the eccentric yet brilliant Dr. Kureha, the young 140-year-old doctor of Drum Island. This episode also introduces one of the most beloved members of the Straw Hat crew, Tony Chopper, the reindeer doctor with a tragic past and a heart of gold. Chopper's backstory in episode 85 introduces us to Hiraluk, the quack doctor who serves as Chopper's mentor. His philosophy of healing and his ultimate sacrifice deeply affect Chopper, cementing him as one of the most memorable characters in the Drum Island arc. As the crew make their way to Alabasta, we meet King Nefertari Cobra, Vivi's father, in episode 91. In the same episode, we're introduced to one of the most iconic characters in the series, Portgas D. Ace, Luffy's older brother. His cool demeanor, powerful flame fruit abilities, and the bond he shares with Luffy make his debut one of the most exciting moments in the series. Episode 93 introduces Koza, the leader of the Alabasta Rebellion and Vivi's childhood friend. In episode 103, we meet Daz Bones, also known as Mr. 1, a member of Baroque Works with the ability to turn his body into steel. His battle with Zoro is one of the highlights of the Alabasta arc, pushing Zoro to his limits. After the events of Alabasta, episode 127 introduces Hina, the marine captain with the power of the Cage fruit, which allows her to bind enemies in iron restraints. Episode 146 brings us to Jaya, where we are introduced to the eerie Doc Q who gives Luffy an apple and his horse Stronger. We also meet the brute Jesus Burgess, the sharpshooter Van Augur, and the infamous Blackbeard himself, who all make their grand entrance. Bellamy, the arrogant pirate with the power to bounce, also makes his debut. Episode 148 introduces Mont Blanc Cricket, a descendant of Mont Blanc Noland, the Liar. Episode 151 is packed with important introductions, as a meeting with the remaining warlords of the sea is called by Fleet Admiral Sengoku, who makes his debut in the series. 2 new warlords are introduced, Bartholomew Kuma, a mysterious figure who will later become a central character in the series, and Don Quixote do Flamingo, the flamboyant and manipulative pirate captain. Lafitte, the mysterious man from the Blackbeard pirates, also makes an appearance. Vice Admiral Tsuru is present at this meeting, and we are introduced to the 5 elders. which is a council of the 5 highest-ranking celestial dragons, who are believed to oversee and hold the greatest authority over the world at large. This episode continues to introduce powerful characters as the legendary pirate Whitebeard also makes his debut, together with his pirate crew, including Marco and Jozu. In the Sky Island arc, episode 153 introduces Wiper, the Shandorian leader who is attacking the Straw Hats, and Ganfall, the former god of Skypiea, together with his loyal steed Pierre, who saves the crew. In episode 154, we meet Conus, a kind Skypian girl who quickly becomes a close friend. The tyrannical ruler of Skypiea, God Enel, makes his first appearance in episode 167. His incredibly powerful Logia-type Rumble fruit made it almost impossible for the Straw Hats to save the island, but Luffy, being a rubber man, had plot armor on his side. We return to Mont Blanc Cricket's story in episode 187, where his ancestor Mont Blanc Nolan makes his debut, and the Shandorian warrior Calgara, whose tragic friendship plays a pivotal role in the Skypiea arc's emotional core. The Foxy Pirates and their captain Foxy make their debut in episode 207. Known for their underhanded tactics and the ridiculous Davy backfight, the Foxy Pirates provide some light-hearted yet frustrating obstacles for the Straw Hats. Moving on to episode 225, we meet Aokiji, one of the 3 Marine Admirals. His introduction is chilling, literally, with his ice-based powers, and marks the beginning of the government's growing interest in Luffy's crew. As the Straw Hats make their way to Water 7, episode 229 introduces us to Kokoro, the wise and humorous train station worker, and her granddaughter Chimney. Reaching Water 7 in episode 230, we meet Iceberg, the mayor of the capital of water. Episode 230 also introduces us to several important characters who will later be revealed as members of CP9. Khalifa, Blueno, Kaku, and Rob Lucci. We also meet Polly, the shipwright and ally to the Straw Hats. Episode 233 marks the first appearance of Franky, the cyborg shipwright who will later join the Straw Hat crew, but at this point he's seen as a destructive gang leader. In episode 248, we meet Tom, the legendary shipwright who mentored Franky and Iceberg. Tom's backstory is deeply tied to the construction of the Oro Jackson and the Sea Train. Episode 249 introduces Spandam, who makes his debut in a flashback as a chief of CP5. Later, he becomes the leader of the CP9, whose ambition to capture Nico Robin and gain control of the Pluton blueprints sets the stage for the events of Enies Lobby. In episode 258, one of the most iconic characters in the entire series makes his debut, Sogeking, also known as the Sniper King, who is a mysterious hero hailing from the legendary Island of Snipers. With his distinctive mask, flowing cape, and dramatic presence, Sogeking exudes confidence and unparalleled sniping skills, helping the Straw Hats rescue Robin. Episodes 264 introduce more members of CP9, including Fukaru, Kumadori, and Jabra, each with their own distinct personalities and abilities. We also meet Kashi and Oimo in episode 265, 2 giant warriors who work for the Marines, but eventually ally with the Straw Hats after learning the truth about their past. Episode 275 takes us deeper into Nico Robin's tragic past with the introduction of Clover, the wise archaeologist of Ohara, and Jaguar D. Sol, the kind-hearted giant who befriends Robin. We also meet Robin's mother, Nico Olvia, whose efforts to uncover the true history of the world ultimately lead to the destruction of Ohara. The flashbacks also introduce Aka Inu in episode 278, the ruthless Marine Admiral whose actions during the Ohara incident highlight his extreme sense of justice. Thatch, one of the commanders of Whitebeard's crew, is introduced in episode 325. Though his time on screen is brief, his murder by Blackbeard sets off a chain of events that lead to the war at Marineford. Making their way to Thriller Bark in episode 337, Brook makes his first appearance when he is introduced as a living skeleton and a musician. Brook's quirky personality and unique design, featuring a top hat, large afro, and a violin, immediately capture Luffy's attention. Moving on to episode 338, we meet the Ghost Princess Perona, who has unique abilities to create negative emotions. In episode 339, we encounter Absalom, a creepy character who can turn invisible. An episode later, we meet Dr. Hogback, the renowned genius surgeon, in episode 340. The captain of the Thriller Bark Pirates then makes his first appearance in episode 343. This formidable warlord of the sea has the power of the Shadow Fruit, allowing him to manipulate shadows. Moving on to the Saba Odi Archipelago arc, we're introduced to Kami and Papagoo in episode 385, a mermaid and a talking starfish. Then, in episode 386, we meet Sanji's twin Duval, who Sanji helps get a facelift. We now reach episode 392, which is packed with new faces. Basil Hawkins, Capone Bedji, Eustace Kid, and his right-hand man Killer, who each bring their unique abilities and personalities. Jewelry Bonnie, the gluttonous pirate, Trafalgar Law with his cool demeanor and clever tactics, not to forget Beppo, Law's loyal bear companion. Urouge, Scratchman Apu, and X-Drake also make their debut. And let's not forget Shaki, who is the bartender of Shaki's ripoff bar, who we also meet in this episode. In episode 393, we meet Saint Charlos, a celestial dragon whose arrogance and cruelty exemplify the oppressive nature of the world. Kizaru, the Lightspeed Admiral, debuts in episode 398. His laid-back attitude combined with his overwhelming power makes him a memorable character. The Pacifistas are introduced in episode 399. These cyborgs, modeled after Bartholomew Kuma, play a significant role in the fight against the Straw Hats and showcase the Marines' technological advancements. In episode 401, we meet Sentomaru, a loyal bodyguard to Vegapunk. His introduction hints at the larger forces at play in the world of One Piece. In episode 408, after Luffy has been sent to Amazon Lily by Kuma, we encounter Gloriosa, also known as Lady Neon, and Marguerite, a warrior of the Kuja tribe, showcasing the strength and uniqueness of the female characters in the series. Soon after, in episode 409, we meet the gorgeous and formidable pirate empress Boa Hancock, and her sisters Sandersonia and Marigold. Although initially hostile, Hancock becomes one of the most beloved characters in the series, showcasing time and time again her deep love for Luffy. Through Hancock's flashbacks of her tragic past, we are introduced to Fisher Tiger in episode 415, as Tiger climbed back through the Red Line to Marie-Joie in order to free his fellow slaves. In episode 422, we're introduced to Hannibal, the Vice Warden of Impel Down, and in episode 425, we meet Magellan, the fearsome Warden. Their complex personalities add a fascinating layer to the Impel Down arc. In episode 430, Knight of the Sea Jinbe makes his debut, as we see him speaking to Ace while imprisoned at Impel Down, revealing his strong sense of justice and camaraderie. At level 5.5 at Impel Down, we meet Ivankov, the Queen of Kamabaka Kingdom and a member of the Revolutionary Army, who debuts in episode 438, bringing chaos and flamboyance. Episode 440 introduces us to Shiryu of the Rain, the former head jailer of Impel Down, whose background is mentioned by Emporio Ivankov in a flashback. Reaching episode 461, which marked the beginning of the Summit War of Marineford, we are introduced to a number of new faces as the entire Whitebeard fleet arrives at Marineford. In the midst of all these characters, we meet Izu and Vista from the Whitebeard Pirates. Fast forward to the end of this epic showdown between pirates and Marines. At episode 484, we meet all the escapees from Impel Down who have joined the Blackbeard Pirates, featuring characters like Devon and Pizarro, showcasing how incredibly strong the villainous Blackbeard pirates have become. During the post-war arc, we are introduced to Sabo in episode 494, who soon became Luffy's brother after they exchanged a cup of sake. We are also introduced to Blue Jam, the main antagonist of the post-war arc. In episode 500, we meet the adoptive brother of Sabo, Steri, who already had royal ambitions at a young age. We now return to Sabaody after the 2-year time skip, where the captain of the fake Straw Hat crew, Damalo Black, makes his debut in episode 517. Next up is Caribou, introduced in episode 519. Known for his cunning and deceptive nature, Caribou becomes an interesting antagonist. Episode 525 introduces Vanderdecken, who is known for his obsession with Shirahoshi. Wadatsumi also makes his debut as another giant character who is fighting for the new Fishman Pirates. Talking about the new Fishman Pirates, Hody Jones, who is the pirate crew's captain and the main antagonist of the Fishman Island arc, makes his debut in episode 527. His extremist views and ruthlessness present significant challenges for Luffy and his crew. In episode 528, we meet Neptune's sons, each with their unique traits and abilities, and Charlie, the prophetess of Fishman Island, debuts in episode 529. Her ability to see the future adds a mystical element to the arc, and her vision of Luffy destroying Fishman Island is still on every One Piece fan's mind. Finally, we meet King Neptune in episode 530, the ruler of Fishman Island, whose presence commands respect. One episode later, in episode 531, Shirahoshi, the giant mermaid princess, makes her debut. Her character embodies themes of innocence and sacrifice, although Luffy calls her Weepy Hoshi, She grows stronger throughout the struggles during the arc. Otohime, Shirahoshi's late mother and the queen of the Ryugu Kingdom, makes her appearance in episode 540. She was a kind-hearted person who had a vision for peace between fishmen and humans. During the flashback of Fisher Tiger and the Sun Pirates, we meet Koala in episode 541, who is sailing with the Sun Pirates to reach her home as Fisher Tiger had broken her shackles and set her free as she was a former slave on Mariajois. In episode 545, a celestial dragon made his way to Fishman Island named Don Quixote Miosgard, who made a complete turnaround in his extremist ideals after he was saved from being killed by fishmen by the late queen, and this moment comes to play a very important part in the future of the series. Episode 548 marks one of the most iconic episodes as we hear about one of the most legendary people in the series, Joy Boy, a figure shrouded in mystery whose legacy is crucial to the lore of One Piece. Peckhams, a mink and a member of the Big Mom Pirates, makes his debut in episode 570. Alongside Peckhams, Big Mom makes her iconic debut in episode 571, showcasing her terrifying power and cruelty, while Luffy declares that he would come to the New World and defeat her in order to make Fishman Island his territory. We also see one of Big Mom's daughters in this episode, the future bride of the Straw Hats chef Charlotte Pudding. Leaving Fishman Island and reaching Punk Hazard, we meet Kinemon, the samurai from Wano, or at least half of him, as we are introduced to his legs in episode 580. And believe it or not, Luffy actually asked his legs to join the Straw Hats. Episode 581 introduces the main antagonist of the Punk Hazard arc, Caesar Clown, the mad scientist who makes chemical weapons of mass destruction. He also makes the artificial devil fruit smile, which is why Monet, who also makes her debut in this episode, is working together with Caesar, as she is a deep cover agent by Doflamingo, as they are partners. The Marine Vice Admiral and the head of G5, Virgo, is introduced in episode 597. Although his allegiance lies with the Don Quixote pirates as he is an elite officer of the crew, showing his cold and ruthless demeanor. More members of the Don Quixote pirates make their debut on episode 608 as we are introduced to Baby Five and Sugar, who both possess strong devil fruit powers. In episode 609, we finally meet Momonosuke, who had fallen down into a garbage dump to hide from Caesar's subordinates. Having eaten an artificial devil fruit to ease his hunger, he is scared and confused. Kanjuro, Kinemon, and Momonosuke's friend, makes his debut in episode 629. We also encounter the remaining officers of the Don Quixote pirates, Pika, Trebol, and Diamante, who all are very powerful and will make it a troublesome experience for the Straw Hats at Dressrosa. Fujitora, introduced in episode 630, is an admiral with a strong sense of justice. His ability to manipulate gravity through his devil fruit introduces new challenges for the crew and showcases the complex morality of the Marines. Episode 632 showcases a lot of powerful characters, as we meet Cavendish, Chinjao, Sai, and Orlumbus, which are all strong foes during the Corrida Coliseum tournament, each character bringing unique fighting styles to the competition. Viola, working as an assassin and officer of the Treble Army, also makes her debut, and she later seduces Sanji, which of course isn't the most difficult task. Bartolomeo, the notorious superfan of Luffy and the Straw Hats, makes his grand entrance in episode 633. With his flamboyant personality and unique power, the Barrier Fruit, Bartolomeo quickly captures the hearts of fans. In the same episode, we meet Rebecca, the courageous gladiator from Dressrosa, who fights to reclaim her family's honor. In episode 636, Ricky makes his debut, but as we later find out, Ricky is actually the benevolent Riku Doldo III, the rightful king of Dressrosa. Moving to episode 639, we meet High Rudin, a giant warrior from Elbaf who becomes a significant ally in the fight against Doflamingo. Also introduced is Yusi, a fierce bull who quickly becomes a trusted mount to Luffy. In episode 640, we're introduced to Leo, a brave warrior from the Tontada tribe. His dedication to his people shines through as he fights for their freedom. And then, in episode 647, we are introduced to Mancherry, the adorable and kind-hearted princess of the Tontada tribe. Although Leo might not think that way. Next, we make our way to episode 686, where we encounter Don Quixote Rocinante, also known as Corazon, a crucial character in Law's backstory. His tragic fate and relationship with Doflamingo and Law reveal layers of complexity and depth. Then we jump to episode 739, where we finally meet the fearsome Kaido, one of the Four Emperors. His introduction shows just how far ahead the Four Emperors are in terms of strength. Shortly after, in episode 746, we're introduced to Jack, Kaido's loyal subordinate, known for his destructive power and unwavering loyalty. In episode 751, we meet Edward Weevil, the self-proclaimed son of Whitebeard, whose fierce determination and unique abilities make him a wild card in the New World. Also making his debut is Zunesha, the ancient elephant that carries Zu on his back as punishment for an unspecified crime it committed in the past, which we all hope to find out more about soon. Carrot, a rabbit mink of the Mokomo dukedom, is first introduced in episode 753. With her cheerful personality and combat skills, she quickly becomes a fan favorite. Following her is Pedro, a brave and loyal ally to the Straw Hats, who makes his debut in episode 754. His determination to protect his friends resonates with us all. In episode 756, we meet Inuarashi and Nekomamushi, the rulers of Zu. Their rivalry and powerful presence showcase the rich culture of the Mink tribe, adding depth to the story, and their duality as both allies and rivals emphasizes the themes of friendship and loyalty in one piece. Next, we have Raizo, a ninja from Wano. Debuting in episode 768, Raizo showed his ninja skills, which Luffy and the others were very happy about. In episode 783, Charlotte Chiffon, Capone Bedge's wife and of course a member of Bedge's Fire Tank Pirates, makes her debut. Continuing to episode 784, we see Reiju and Yonji, two members of the Vinsmoke family, and Germa 66, where Reiju quickly saves Luffy's life, but hopefully Boa Hancock doesn't find out about this. Zeus, Nami's future partner, is a Thundercloud homie and one of Big Mom's personal weapons, who is first seen in episode 786. Ichiji and Niji, Sanji's two elder brothers, made their debut in episode 787. In episode 791, we meet Brule, a member of the Big Mom Pirates. With her ability to manipulate mirrors, she presents a unique challenge to the Straw Hats once they arrive at Whole Cake Island. Moving on to Judge, who appears in episode 793. As the father of the Vinsmoke siblings, Judge is a significant figure of Germa 66. His dream of creating a superior race and his complex relationship with his children set the stage for Sanji's tragic past. Episode 796 introduces us to Cracker, another member of the Big Mom Pirates. Known for his pretzel powers, Cracker can create biscuit soldiers that fight alongside him. His introduction made for a formidable challenge to Luffy. Episode 804 brings us Vinsmoke Sora, the mother of Sanji and the Vinsmoke siblings. Her compassionate character contrasts sharply with the rest of the Vinsmoke family, making Sanji a kind and loving person. Next, in episode 825, we have Katakuri. As the strongest Sweet Commander, his incredible foresight and combat skills make him one of the strongest characters we have seen in the series. His sense of honor and deep-seated family loyalty add layers to his character. Appearing in episodes 826 and 827 are Daifuku and Oven, the two other Sweet Commanders of the Big Mom Pirates, and Katakuri's brothers. Daifuku wields the power of a genie, while Oven possesses the ability to heat things up. Still in episode 827, we meet Loki, the Prince of Elbaf, who was once Charlotte Lola's arranged fiancé before she ran away, and who we'll find out more about in the Elbaf arc. Then, in episode 828, we are finally on the brink of the wedding day. Here, we see Stussy, a spy with ties to various factions, and Morgans, the president of the World Economy newspaper and one of the emperors of the underworld. Fast forward to episode 878, we can see Makino's child, but who is the father? Give me a comment below who you think it is. In episode 880, we meet Belo Betty, an army commander of the Revolutionary Army, as she interferes when pirates are trying to raid a village. The other army commanders also make their debut as we are introduced to Karasu, Morley, and Lindbergh, showcasing the strength of the mysterious revolutionaries. Episode 882 introduces a new Marine Admiral during the Reverie arc, Aramaki, also known as Green Bull, who will show off his powers later in the series. Then we have Imu, who debuts in episode 885. Shrouded in mystery, we know that Imu is the supreme ruler of the world government, who occupies the empty throne and whom even the five elders bow to and serve. However, Imu's existence is kept an absolute secret within the government and from the world at large, to maintain the lie that there is no singular ruler of the world. Reaching the Wano Country arc, we are introduced to Hiyori in episode 892. To hide her identity as a Kozuki, Hiyori became known as Komurasaki, working as an Oiran of the Taiyu rank, the highest of all. Episode 893 introduces Tama, a young girl with the ability to tame animals. Her character represents hope and innocence, embodying the spirit of Wano and the fight against oppression. In episode 897, we encounter Tsurujo, a woman who Zoro and Luffy helps, and as we later find out is Kinemon's wife. Reaching her tea house, we meet Kiku in episode 899, a skilled swordswoman who tries to gather information for the planned rebellion against Orochi and Kaido. Denjiro, or Kyoshiro as he was known as at the time, is introduced in episode 909, working for Orochi as his bodyguard to keep Hiyori safe. Episode 910 shows us a lot of new important characters as Kinemon is explaining to Luffy and the crew his backstory. The long-awaited Kozuki Oden finally makes his appearance. We are also introduced to Ashura Doji, who faces off against Oden. Continuing, we meet Kozuki Toki, Oden's wife, who was the one who saved Kinemon, Momonosuke, and the other samurai by making them travel 20 years into the future. In this episode, we also see Kawamatsu for the first time. Shinobu is a kunoichi from Wano country and a retainer of the Kozuki family, who makes her debut in episode 911. Showcasing her middle-aged body and how the elderly woman is still beautiful. Episode 918 introduces King and Queen, two of Kaido's most powerful commanders. Next, we meet Hyogoro in episode 919, a former Yakuza boss. After Luffy helps him a number of times, Hyogoro shows his wisdom and experience and mentors Luffy in mastering advanced haki called Ryu in Wano. In episode 920, we are introduced to Toko, a cheerful girl whose laughter shines a light in the darkest times. However, her smile also marks one of the most tragic stories in the entire series. Orochi, the tyrannical shogun of Wano, makes his debut in episode 921, revealing his large snake-like face and flamboyant attire, emphasizing his cruel and tyrannical nature, continuing to set the stage for his antagonistic role in the story. Episode 923 features a member of the Toby Rappo, Page 1. His dinosaur transformation showcases the unique abilities of the Beast Pirates, making him a fierce opponent. Next, in episode 958, we learn about Rox D. Zebek, a legendary and notorious pirate who played a significant role in the world's history, connecting to the legendary figures of the past. Yamato, the child of Kaido, makes her first appearance when she is partly seen at Oden's execution in episode 972, while her true introduction is later during the raid at Onigashima. In episode 982, we meet Ulti and the rest of the Toby Rappo. The group consists of 6 powerful fighters, each with unique abilities and a fierce ambition to rise in rank within the crew. Fast forward to episode 1029, where we are introduced to Uta, a character connected to the world of music. She is a famous diva and the daughter of Shanks, and she captivates the audience with her enchanting singing voice and unique style. Shimatsuki Ryuma, the legendary world-famous samurai who was revered for his mastery of swordsmanship that earned him the title Sword God, as well as his feat of slaying a dragon, made his debut in episode 1046. In episode 1087, we see S-Hawk and S-Snake, known as the Seraphims, which are a special type of pacifista units developed by the Marines Special Science Group with the intention of replacing the 7 warlords of the sea. Drawing near Egghead Island, Lilith made her first appearance in episode 1090 as she tries to plunder the Straw Hats of their possessions. Shaka then makes his debut on 1091, advising her against doing anything stupid. Episode 1096 marks an historic episode as we finally meet Dr. Vegapunk. Vegapunk is the world's most brilliant scientist, known for his advanced technology and inventions. Despite working for the world government, he seems to have a complex moral compass. And the final character we are going to talk about is Figureland Garling. Garling was named an elder to succeed Saturn, who was killed by Emu following his failure during the Egghead incident. Due to his role, and along with the other elders, Garling is one of the main antagonists of the final saga. And there you have it. All characters' first appearance in One Piece. If you have made it this far into the video, please comment "I love One Piece," as it would be very cool to see. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell for more content. Thanks for watching, and see you in the next video.